The woke side of the internet thinks going through someone's old MySpace account makes them part of the resistance. It doesn't, it makes you a punk. Colonel Alexander Vindman exposing the Ukraine fiasco. Noble. That's not you taking down the host of the Ice Capades. You're a loser with Wi-Fi and all the time in the world to listen to long-forgotten podcasts. You're not a journalist. You're just a creepy little rat. Go to Texas and catch a runaway embryo.
Bill Maher isn't backing down from his fight against what he calls the woke crusade. This time, he's turning up the heat even higher. His latest focus? The self-appointed online investigators who spend hours digging through ancient tweets, desperate to destroy someone's reputation over a long-forgotten joke. Maher's takedown didn't just make noise, it exploded. He called out the hypocrisy, the fake outrage, and the strange thrill these digital moral police feel when they wreck someone's life. So get ready this round. It's harder than any influencer's desperate apology video.
Snitch, now it's not a bad thing. Oh, it used to be. Used to be one of the first things we taught children. Nobody likes a tattletale. But now, virtually any public accomplishment comes with the obligatory follow-up snitch story a few days later. Like what happened with that sad schmuck who was supposed to host Jeopardy. But fortunately, the honor of game shows was preserved when Squeal Team 6 went through his old podcast and found out he once used the term whatever.
I honestly can't pinpoint when this started feeling normal, when people who can't stand you suddenly decided it's their mission to play internet detective, digging through a decade of posts just to find that one gotcha moment. Somewhere along the way, this digital witch hunt turned into a full-blown sport, cheered on by the self-proclaimed heroes of the woke scene. It's not about fairness anymore or even holding people responsible. It's about public shaming, power trips, and collecting online approval points. The outcome? A culture so tense folks are scared to even breathe online. But Maher's not having it. He's tearing the mask off, calling it what it truly is: hypocrisy disguised as virtue. And trust me, his words hit hard. So buckle up, let's roll the clip, and watch this one light up the screen.
Sorry, Mike, but we, the perfect people who have never made a mistake, we just can't let society be sullied by horrible people like you. Bye-bye. Fans of cable news will recognize the rising journalist Alexi McCammond, who was appointed editor of Teen Vogue, but then had to resign before her first day when some of her high school tweets suddenly became too much to bear. Tweets like, "Now Googling how to not wake up with swollen Asian eyes," and, "You're so gay."
Exactly. If you've ever looked at the kind of old, harmless tweets people get canceled for, you'd think the internet had lost its mind. We're talking silly teenage posts, outdated memes, or random jokes that were never meant to be serious. But the online mob, they attack like a pack sensing blood. They sift through your digital history like treasure hunters of outrage, digging, twisting, and condemning you for something you said before. Problematic was even a word people used. Context doesn't matter. Intent doesn't matter. Time doesn't matter. They'll rewrite your past just to feel powerful for one more moment. This was never about accountability. It's about destruction. The mob isn't chasing change. They're chasing carnage. They don't care for your apology. They want your career, your peace, your name dragged through the mud. What they crave most is a trophy. Proof that they're still the righteous ones in a world that's forgotten what forgiveness feels like.
And her resignation was endorsed by the hierarchy of the magazine, including the senior social media manager, Christine Davitt. Good for you, Christine. You helped catch the Zodiac. Oh no, you just ruined someone's career for no reason. Same diff. Funny end to the story. After Alexi McCammond resigned for her innocuous tweets, someone went through Christine Davitt's old high school tweets and oops. Seems she tweeted the N-word twice to a white friend in 2009. Bye-bye.
And that's exactly the double standard Bill Maher keeps setting ablaze. These self-proclaimed online moralists, the ones who treat decade-old tweets like top secret evidence, are often the biggest offenders themselves. Why? Because they've committed the same digital crimes they love to expose in others. Buried deep in their own timelines are the same awkward posts edgy jokes, and outdated takes they pretend to be above. They just hope no one bothers to look. Maher's argument slices straight to the truth. If everyone were judged solely by their past, none of us would make it through unscathed. These online judges parade as saints while waving around other people's mistakes like trophies. But the moment the spotlight shifts toward them, they crumble faster than a deleted post.
This is why I'm a little hopeful that this purity purge may end, because it's starting to eat its own. ESPN reporter Rachel Nichols was a feminist success story, but when she complained in a private telephone call about ESPN's crappy long-time record on diversity and expressed her view that she felt like she was being sacrificed by the network so they could make up for that crappy long-time record on diversity, the call was leaked and she was toast.
And really, how could they not end up turning on themselves? It's bound to happen. Everyone at some point has said or believed something foolish. It's practically part of growing up. That's how we evolve, by stumbling, learning, and letting life humble us into better versions of who we were. Growth should invite empathy, not a public execution. But the cancel mob doesn't care about progress. Outrage is their fuel, and they breathe it in like air. They march around as if spotless, pretending they've never slipped up or told a joke that aged badly. The irony couldn't be richer. Shine that same light on them and they'd vanish in a heartbeat. Because here's the truth: dig deep enough into anyone's past, and you'll always find something messy. That's why this whole culture eventually consumes itself. When you build your identity on flawless virtue, it's only a matter of time before you suffocate on your own hypocrisy.
In addition to the fact that a person shouldn't have to love getting fired, even if it does achieve more equity, this was a private call. Does private mean anything anymore? Apparently not. Even sadder, this love of snitching seems to be one of the few areas that is now truly bipartisan. Snitch Nation isn't about what side you're on. It's about this mindset where everyone is an amateur secret policeman and tattling is a virtue.
The former ESPN host story is especially unsettling because it wasn't even about a tweet. It was a private phone call, a conversation never meant to leave the room. But in today's world of digital tattletales, privacy isn't fading. It's gone. We've traded it away for the cheap thrill of public humiliation. Now, one leaked clip or out of context recording is enough to spark the next viral witch hunt. These people aren't chasing truth, they're chasing attention. They'll twist, leak, and weaponize anything for a handful of likes and a quick hit of moral adrenaline. This isn't justice, it's voyeurism pretending to be virtue. The mission isn't accountability, it's exposure, humiliation, and the rush of watching someone's downfall in real time. And the scariest part, no one's safe. When a private moment can destroy a life, we're no longer living in a culture of accountability, we're living in a culture of surveillance. That's the dark carnival Bill Maher keeps warning about, a world where betrayal isn't shameful anymore, it's celebrated.
Side of the internet thinks going through someone's old MySpace account makes them part of the resistance. It doesn't, it makes you a punk.
The woke corners of the internet seem to think that digging through someone's old MySpace photos or decade-old posts makes them freedom fighters. Newsflash, it doesn't. It just makes them petty. There's nothing bold about trying to destroy someone's life from behind a keyboard. That's not justice. It's cowardice with Wi-Fi. The far left tries to disguise it as some heroic mission, combing through dusty archives like they're unearthing hidden evil. But they're not saving the world. They're fueling a digital blood sport dressed up as moral virtue. Bill Maher doesn't sugarcoat it. He calls it pathetic. He sees these self-appointed moral referees for what they are: bitter, insecure people who only feel powerful when someone else is being torn down. Instead of creating or contributing anything meaningful, they scroll endlessly, hunting for their next gotcha moment. Maher's point slices clean through the noise. If the best thing you've ever done is destroy someone's reputation, you're not a hero. You're a coward, a fraud cloaked in virtue, mistaking cruelty for justice.
Republicans lately, besides sponsoring that new reality show, Texas Zygote Hunters, have been encouraging college students to whip out their phones to record and report professors who espouse leftist ideas. As always, these snowflakes fall just as hard on the right as they do on the left.
Fair point. If the far right pulls the same stunt, they deserve the exact same backlash. No passes, no exceptions. This isn't about politics. It's about basic fairness and the right to speak without being exiled for life. America was meant to be a noisy marketplace of ideas, not a courtroom where speech becomes a permanent record. No one, not conservatives, liberals, or your eccentric uncle tweeting at 3 a.m. should lose their career or reputation over something said years ago. People evolve, opinions shift. The same way we outgrew bell bottoms, we outgrow bad takes. The past should explain who we were, not condemn who we've become. So when either side turns into moral vigilantes, they both earn the criticism. This isn't about defending offensive speech. It's about defending the right to learn, to grow, and to change. Because censorship pretending to be virtue isn't courage. It's just cowardice with good marketing.
Colleges pride themselves on being safe spaces, not for professors. At least not any who might want to stretch young minds to think differently and try on new ideas. Yeah, try that at your peril. Same with comedy clubs, where ever since the iPhone, comics have been complaining about snitches in the audience who'll rat them out for crossing the line, which is practically the job description of a comedian.
Comedy isn't safe anymore, not even close. The far left has turned it into a battlefield where every punchline feels like stepping on a landmine. One wrong word, and it's game over. They'll carve up your set into a 10-second clip, tear it from its context, and post it online like a public execution. One misunderstood joke, and suddenly you're the villain of the week. No one's been spared. Even Kevin Hart lost his shot at hosting the Oscars over old jokes he'd already owned up to years ago. That's not accountability, that's madness. Comedy was once the great equalizer, a space where people could laugh together at the chaos of life and leave their differences at the door. Now it's treated like evidence at a trial. Every laugh is questioned, every word dissected. The result? A generation of comics too afraid to take chances, and audiences too fragile to remember that laughter was meant to unite us, not divide us.
Comics are joking constantly. Even some people who aren't comics do that. And if you're lucky enough in life to be around people like that, I'm sure you know, they can't all be gems. Sometimes you get the twisties, and the joke doesn't land just right. Exposing that doesn't make you noble.
Maher strikes back at the far left with a hammer of truth. He reminds them that real bravery isn't found in scrolling through decade-old posts. It's in stopping real harm, not hunting digital ghosts for moral points. He draws the line where it always should have been, between protecting people and persecuting them. The cancel crusaders love to picture themselves as noble warriors fighting evil, but in reality, they're just bounty hunters chasing human flaws. What they call accountability is really just humiliation disguised as virtue. And Maher doesn't hold back. He calls it what it is: small-minded, vindictive, and anything but American.
David Kaczynski, the brother of the Unabomber who turned in his own brother lest any more mail bombs go off, that was noble. Or think of Edward Snowden enduring exile in Russia so he could expose unlawful government snooping. Noble. Colonel Alexander Vindman exposing the Ukraine fiasco. Noble. That's not you taking down the host of the Ice Capades. You're a loser with Wi-Fi and all the time in the world to listen to long-forgotten podcasts. You're not a journalist. You're just a creepy little rat. Go to Texas and catch a runaway embryo.
In the end, Maher's message couldn't be clearer or more vital. This culture of digital tattling, selective outrage, and moral posturing is eating society alive from the inside. What once started as a sincere call for accountability has mutated into a modern-day coliseum where people aren't punished for crimes. They're punished for being human. Everyone has said something foolish, offensive, or regrettable at some point. That's called growing up. But the internet never forgets, and the mob never forgives. Maher's fight against wokeism isn't about defending bad behavior, or it's about defending reason, balance, and the simple right to speak without fear. He's saying what most people only whisper, that comedy, free speech, and even private thoughts are now under siege by those who confuse outrage with virtue. And here's the real warning: if this madness keeps spreading, no one will ever be pure enough. Outrage doesn't play favorites. Once unleashed, it doesn't stop with your enemies. Eventually, it comes for everyone. And when that day arrives, there won't be anyone left to laugh.